The most dangerous threats don't always come from outside your home. Sometimes they're waiting for you at your own family's dinner table, smiling, plotting, and ready to strike. The living room glowed under a chandelier I'd never seen. A happy birthday banner stretched above a sideboard crowded with premium bourbon and catered trays. The cake, thick white frosting and gold candles, sat untouched. Laughter ran a shade too loud, like a sales pitch. Sloane drifted in with a Cabernet I recognized from an expensive steakhouse, her smile set to celebrate. "You loved this vintage," she said, filling my glass. "Just a taste. Caleb's big day." Caleb squeezed my shoulder. "Dad, quick tour upstairs. New fixtures in the master. Come on." He checked his watch again. The two men on the landing didn't mingle, didn't eat, didn't hold drinks. Polished shoes, conservative ties, briefcases like props waiting for their cue. Ava's fingers tightened. She's not dramatic. She notices things. Tonight, her hand shook. "Please," she whispered, "go." The room looked staged, crystal catching light, flowers too fresh for desert air, furniture that hadn't had time to crease. I've built houses for 40 years. A facade can fool strangers. The trim work never fools a contractor. I raised the glass, let the wine touch my lip, then set it down, full. "Another time for the tour," I said softly. "It's your birthday, son. Be with your guests." Sloane's smile thinned. "At least stay for cake." "Good night to my granddaughter first," I said, and hugged Ava. Her breathing stuttered against my shoulder. The front door opened to warm desert air and the mesquite smoke from the grill out back. I stepped onto the brick walkway, grateful for sky. Behind me, glassware chimed. Someone shouted, "Speech!" Caleb's voice tried to find me. "Dad, just a minute." "I'll get a car for you," Sloane called brightly. "We've arranged a service." "I already have one," I said, thumbing a taxi. My hands were steady. When they aren't, it isn't age, it's truth arriving. Headlights swung into the curb. Before I climbed in, I looked back through the window. The men on the landing hadn't moved. Sloane poured for someone else. Caleb's watch flashed as he checked the time. The cake still waited, candles unlit. Ava pressed her palm to the glass. I lifted mine a few inches and let it fall. Some goodbyes don't need an audience. The taxi smelled of lemon cleaner. "Ocotillo Drive," I told the driver. As we rolled away, the chandelier shrank to a pin of light and vanished behind the banister's shadow. I tapped Ava's name. The line rang over the muffled party until I heard a door click shut on her end. 2 nights before the party, Caleb shouldered through my door mid-sentence. "Dad, listen, this is the one." His confidence always arrived first. Facts lagged behind. I slid off my reading glasses. "Evening to you, too." He paced, hands sketching castles in the air. "Fractional deal, hospitality on the Scottsdale corridor. Seasoned sponsors, built-in cash flow, no downside." "No downside is when contractors reach for dust masks." "Paperwork?" I asked. "It's moving fast. I can bring it tomorrow," he said. The same tomorrow I'd heard for years. I went to the filing cabinet that's outlasted 3 couches and 2 roofs. The second drawer sticks unless you lift while you pull. Manila folders hit the coffee table. "Caleb, Ventures." He flinched. "Start with the can't-miss Tempe presale," I said, opening a fat folder. Rooftop pool renderings, clean lines. He'd sworn permits were in place. On top, a cashier's check stub for $72,500. Below, delays, excuses, a final email that bounced. "Market volatility," he said, quick and thin. Next folder, crypto mining rigs from 2 states away. 6 months to pay for themselves, he'd promised. The delivery never came. The tracking number led nowhere. 48,000 gone, I said, steady. Third, the food truck he actually researched, locations mapped, menu sketched. Then a partner whose last employer sued him for theft. Caleb's shoulders climbed. "You never give me a chance." "I gave you money," I said, "and advice, and the kind of patience that looks like no." He sneered. "You enjoy lining up my mistakes like trophies." I looked at paper, ink, staple scars. I enjoy roofs that don't leak and doors that latch, work that stands. This isn't that. The house held our silence like old framing holds summer heat. The Ocotillo outside cut dusk into ribs of shadow. He softened his tone. "This time is real. If you back me, people will take me seriously. They'll take you seriously when you take numbers seriously. Bring documents, sponsors, a budget with room for weather and life." Forget it. He snatched his jacket, knocked the armrest sideways, and left the door open. Taillights carved red across my lawn and vanished. I filed the folders back. The drawer stuck. I lifted while I pushed, same as always. I slept the thin sleep you get after coffee too late. Morning came honest. Grocery list in my wallet, I stepped outside and stopped. My sedan sat canted, bowing like an exhausted animal. 1 flat can be bad luck. 4 is choreography. I didn't touch a thing. Rims low, sidewalls slumped, the car resting on the idea of motion instead of the fact of it. Someone wanted me grounded. I reached for my phone, the desert quiet suddenly too loud, and stared a long beat before dialing. Sabotage has a signature, and this one knew my garage. I crouched by the front passenger tire, the driveway radiating morning heat. The rubber wasn't shredded, it slumped. My fingertip traced the sidewall until it clicked on metal, small, cold, driven at a neat slant near the shoulder. I checked the other 3, same place, same angle. That's not road luck, that's a hand. In the garage, my fasteners sit in old coffee cans with masking tape labels, roofing nails, 1 1/4. The top can felt lighter than it should, a sleeve half gone. Not evidence a cop would frame, but a carpenter knows his own shelves. AA promised 40 minutes, arrived in 20. The driver took 1 look and whistled. 4? That's no pothole parade. "They're in the sidewalls," I said. "Looks intentional." "At that angle? Yeah," he shook his head. "Can't patch a sidewall. You'll need a whole set. Desert Ridge tire okay?" The flatbed winched my sedan up like a stretcher. At the shop, a tech rolled a tire onto a stand and tapped the puncture with a gloved knuckle. 30-degree insert, just kissing the ply. Somebody wanted a slow death, not a blowout. "How much to make it right?" 900 and change. He said it like weather, and I signed like a man buying back his own morning. Back home, I set the receipt on the counter and stared until the numbers blurred. Then I called Caleb. He answered on the 3rd ring, voice cotton thick. "Dad, what's up?" All 4 of my tires were punctured, sidewalls, nails. Silence, then syrupy concern. "That's awful. Kids have been messing around near us too. Spring break nonsense." All 4, same angle. A beat. "Are you accusing me?" "I'm telling you what I found." "Come on, Dad." The hurt sounded practiced. "We argued, sure, but I'd never touch your car. That's beyond a line. File a report so insurance doesn't jerk you around." "I'll handle it." His tone brightened in a click. "Different topic. Tomorrow's my birthday. Sloane's doing a small dinner, just family, 6 o'clock. Ava asked if you'd come. It'd mean a lot." He dangled the one name that never fails. I looked at the receipt, thought about the empty sleeve in the nail can, about his voice shifting once sympathy worked better than denial. "A quiet dinner?" I asked. "Low key. We'll get you that beer you like." "Ava will be there?" "Of course." "I'll be there," I said. We ended with the spackle words. "Sounds good. Talk soon. Love you." I stood in the quiet kitchen until the clock on the stove clicked and the room felt different. Then I went to my study and opened the drawer where I keep small, true things. Tape measure, carpenter's pencil, a pocket spirit level I give as a joke to men who eyeball crooked as straight. I wrapped the level in brown paper. A birthday gift that says, gently, check yourself. I propped it by the front door. It looked honest in a way that day did not. I circled 6 p.m. on a pad and wrote 1 line under it. Watch the pour. The next evening, under a cooling desert sky, I would walk into a room that looked like celebration and felt like choreography. Truth travels in whispers. The taxi's vinyl seat stuck faintly to the back of my shirt as the driver took the long curve out of Caleb's subdivision. Party noise bled through my phone on the first ring, then a door clicked and the sound cut to cotton. "Grandpa, are you safe?" Ava's voice was thin but steady. "I'm headed home," I said. Tell me what I just walked away from." She drew a breath that trembled through the line. "They're trying to get you drunk and take you upstairs to sign. 2 men are waiting in the guest room with briefcases. Mom called them counsel. Dad kept saying, 'Once he signs, it's clean, we're done.' I heard them yesterday, after your fight Tuesday, going over what to say if you balked." "What's in the papers?" My mouth felt dry, like I'd been breathing sawdust. "Something about transferring control of your company. Mom said if you sign when you've been drinking, it'll still hold if the witnesses swear you seemed fine." She swallowed. "She said you'd get confused with enough wine." The desert night blurred by outside, low walls and lit sago palms passing in sequence. "Did they see you leave the room?" I asked. "I told them I was getting more napkins." A small, brave laugh. "I went to my room and locked the door. Please don't tell them I called." "I won't," I said. "You did exactly the right thing. I'm proud of you." "Grandpa, if they ask why you left, I'll say the neighborhood felt sketchy late. I won't say anything else." "Good," I said. "If you need me, you call. Any hour." "I will." A pause. "I love you." "I love you too." The call ended with the soft click of a promise kept for later. The driver glanced at me in the mirror, polite, curious. I watched the road. I let the anger cool into something I could use. My porch light clicked on as the taxi rolled to a stop. I paid cash and stepped into the dry, mild air. Across the property line, Mrs. Whitaker's silhouette rocked in her wicker chair, the shawl pulled around her shoulders against nothing but habit. "Evening, Henry," she said, voice soft across the gravel. "You have a minute?" I crossed closer. In Arizona, voices carry at night like water in a pipe. "Of course." She rested her hands on the railing, knuckles neat and white. "I wasn't sure if I should say anything, but I saw something Tuesday around 9:30 after I heard raised voices." Her eyes flicked, apologetic. "Sound travels." "It does," I said. "What did you see?" "Your boy walked around your car," she said, careful, factual. "Had something in his hand, looked like a handful of nails. He knelt by each tire, did something quick with his wrist, then stood and looked up and down the street to see if anyone was out. He didn't see me. I keep the porch light off half the time to watch the sky." I let the picture assemble, the angle of insertion, the way the rubber sagged, the empty sleeve in my coffee can. "You're sure it was Caleb?" "I've known that child since he was knee-high," she said, a little heat in it. "It was him. Would you be willing to say that if asked formally?" She nodded once, no drama. "If truth is needed, it'll get my voice." I exhaled slowly. "Thank you, Dorothy." "You've worked too hard," she said. "Don't let anyone take your name off your own work." The words landed like a nail-set flush. I touched the rail in thanks and went inside. I turned on every light. The house stood up straighter under them. In the study, the manila folders came out again, not as a history lesson but as ammunition. I set a legal pad dead center, drew 2 columns, facts and actions. Under facts, I wrote in block letters, Tuesday argument, Wednesday tires, Thursday trap upstairs. Under actions, I wrote counsel, records, network. Coffee hissed through the machine with a small, steady insistence. I spread receipts by year, clipped emails to contracts, marked names on sticky notes. Brian Coldwell, Chamber, Robert Kim, Investment Group, Naomi Fields, SMB Advisory. I opened my laptop and created a fresh email address that sounded like it belonged to nobody. Then I picked up the phone. "Ortiz Law," a receptionist answered, warm and professional. "Samuel Ortiz, please," I said. "Henry Cole calling. We met at the chamber breakfast last spring." A brief hold, instrumental music like a lobby. "Henry," Samuel's voice came smooth, quick. "What can I do?" "I need to run a situation by you. Potential elder financial exploitation attempted through alcohol and signatures, plus property damage by a family member. I have documentation. I want to proceed with facts only." "Understood," he said, without a beat of surprise. 9 a.m. tomorrow? Bring everything. We'll outline exposure and next steps." 9 is good. We hung up. My calendar pinged a clean little note, and the square for tomorrow filled with an appointment that felt like ballast. I wrote one more line on the pad, under Actions, HR Complaint, Summit Ridge. In the doorway, the hall light laid a pale bar across the floor, like a measuring tape set from this night to the next. I capped my pen, slid the first folder to the top of the stack, and set my alarm for 6. Tomorrow, the records would start talking. You don't fight lies with rage, you fight with records. At 9 sharp, Samuel Ortiz ushered me into a sunlit conference room that smelled like paper and lemon oil. I laid manila folders on the table. He laid out rules. Facts only, no adjectives, no accusations. Copies out, originals stay with you. Build a clean timeline. If anyone asks, you're providing information to affected parties, period. We worked the whiteboard. Tuesday, argument. Wednesday, tire sabotage. Thursday, intoxication attempt with counsel upstairs. Under each, he had me list documents, contracts, bank transfers, emails, dates. You're not telling a story, he said. You're presenting a ledger. Back home, the study hummed with the little sounds of preparation. Printer whir, stapler thud, the slide of plastic tabs. 3 stacks became 3 envelopes. Brian Caldwell, Chamber. Tempe presale. The cashier's check copy, the bounced email, the developer's bankruptcy notice. Cover letter. Information for your consideration regarding Caleb Cole's business practices. Robert Kim Investment Group. Mining rigs. The wire confirmation, the bogus tracking, the vendor's dissolution record. Same neutral cover line. Naomi Fields, SMB Advisory. Food truck partnership, the contract with the background check clause, the complaint from the former employer, the termination ledger. Each packet opened with a 1-page timeline, black-inked and calm, no underlines, no italics. Numbers speak best when they don't shout. At 3 p.m., a courier in a red polo took the envelopes and handed me a carbon receipt. Same day, signature required. The door closed on the soft sound of consequence leaving the house. Then I turned to Sloan. Summit Ridge Financial's HR portal wanted facts, dates, and attachments. I gave them that and nothing else. Attempted elder financial exploitation via alcohol and surprise signatures. Conflict between her fiduciary role and a plan to strip an elder of control over a long-standing business. Contemporaneous observations of lavish expenditures inconsistent with claimed financial hardship. Attachments, the catered invoice from the birthday, the alcohol list Sloan had texted to a vendor, the timeline tying it to Tuesday's argument. I suggested an internal review of her recent client interactions for undue influence or self-dealing. The submit button didn't feel like victory. It felt like gravity. By Saturday afternoon, the phone began its delicate chorus. Not my phone, other people's. You can sense it in a town like ours, the tone at the country club, the pauses at the hardware store. Sunday evening, my voicemail held polite, careful questions from familiar area codes. Monday morning, an email pinged in from a chamber address. Henry, could we compare notes? I didn't reply. The records would do the talking. I brewed coffee and reviewed my originals, each page sheet protected, each clip a line square. The house felt steadier, as if the framing had been sistered to handle load. At noon Tuesday, the steadiness met its first test. Tires crunched in my driveway too fast. Footsteps climbed my front walk in a hurry that didn't bother with manners. The knock wasn't a knock, it was a demand. I opened the door to Caleb's flushed face and Sloane's tight smile. "We need to talk," he said, "now." "This isn't revenge, it's gravity." I stepped back and let them in. The house was bright. I'd left every light on like truth needed wattage. Caleb didn't bother with hello. "You torpedoed my relationships," he snapped. "Anonymous packets to people I've known for years. What were you thinking?" "That they deserved facts," I said, motioning to the couch. Sloane sat, posture perfect. Caleb stayed standing, flared and restless. "Henry," Sloane began, voice smooth, "if you stop whatever you started with my firm, we can resolve this. HR contacted me. Someone filed a malicious complaint." "Not malicious," I said, "factual. Your job is to protect clients from undue influence. Last Thursday, you hosted a family event with staged counsel upstairs and a bar designed to blur judgment. That's a conflict by any plain reading." "You have no proof," she said. "I don't need adjectives." I set a binder on the coffee table, opened to the timeline. Tuesday, argument at my house. Wednesday, 4 sidewall punctures executed with technique. Thursday, repeated alcohol service, pressure to go upstairs, 2 men waiting with briefcases. Caleb scoffed. So, a couple of guests wore suits. And the tires? I asked. 30-degree sidewall inserts, same spot on all 4. The empty sleeve in my roofing nails. A neighbor who watched you kneel at each wheel after you left here Tuesday night. His mouth closed. Sloan shot him a look that traveled faster than words. I'm not here to yell, I said. You made choices. Choices have consequences. People you took money from have a right to compare notes. Your employer has a right to examine behavior against fiduciary duty, and I have a right to protect what I built. Dad, you're overreacting, Caleb said, softer. We were going to show you a plan, get a signature to streamline. To remove me while impaired, I said. That's not streamlining, that's theft with stationery. We're family, Sloan said, the word going brittle. This could have stayed private. It was private, I said, until you invited witnesses and made it legal. Privacy isn't a cloak for exploitation. Silence found the room and measured it. Here's where we are, I said. I'm not pressing charges for the tires today, and I'm not naming sources for Thursday. But the network knows your record because the network deserves the truth. Summit Ridge will do its work. Caleb stared at the binder. So, what do you want? Boundaries, I said. Effective immediately. No contact about investments or transfers for 1 year. Reimburse the tires within 30 days. Seek professional counseling, financial and personal, and provide proof you completed it. If you breach any of it, I pursue criminal and civil remedies. No more warnings. He flinched at that last line, the recognition men have when they meet a beam that won't move. And Ava? Sloan asked, a crack finally showing. Is she... Ava isn't part of this, I said. Her education and future are safe. She chose to protect family, not exploit it. That's the line I'm preserving. Sloan looked at Caleb. Whatever moved behind her eyes wasn't loyalty. It was calculation hunting exits. Caleb's shoulders slumped. You think people will forget? He muttered. People forget stories, I said. They don't forget ledgers. He nodded once, not meeting my eyes. I'll get you the money for the tires. And the rest, I said. Sloan stood. You'll regret this, she said, without conviction. I regret many things, I said. Telling the truth isn't one. They left quietly. The house exhaled. My phone rang. Ava's name lit the screen. Grandpa, are you okay? I am, I said. We're safe. I looked out at the yard. The Ocotillo ribbed the light. The saguaro kept its post. On the table, the binders sat square to the edge, tabs aligned, gravity doing its work. Family betrayal stories are among the hardest to live through, but they are also the stories where God's grace shines brightest. They ask more of our hearts than we feel we can give, yet they also reveal just how faithfully God shows up in our weakness. Grace doesn't erase the past. It meets us there and begins to transform it with truth, tenderness, and steady hope. God meets us in the shadows of betrayal stories, gently guiding us back toward trust and new beginnings. In those shadowed places where sleep is thin and questions are loud, He whispers dignity back into our bones and gives us courage to take the next right step. No matter how deep the wound, God's love is deeper still, reminding us that even broken relationships can be the soil for growth and second chances. What felt like an ending can become sacred ground, where wisdom takes root, boundaries become clearer, and compassion expands. If you are living through your own betrayal story, know that forgiveness is possible and healing is real. Forgiveness does not excuse harm or rush reconciliation. It releases your heart from bitterness so peace can take up residence. Keep your heart gentle, let go of anger, and trust that God will use even the hardest betrayal stories to draw you closer to Him and to those who truly matter. Gentleness is not passivity, it is strength under guidance, choosing clarity over chaos and mercy over revenge. Healing often arrives through ordinary practices, a quiet prayer at dawn, a walk that loosens the tightness in your chest, journaling one honest page, or calling a friend who holds your story with care. Wise help matters, too. Pastors, counselors, and mentors can offer tools for rebuilding trust and honoring healthy boundaries. Let your pain become a teacher rather than a tyrant. Notice the small evidences of grace, a verse that lands at the right time, an apology backed by change, or your own newfound ability to say no with kindness. Remember that trust is rebuilt with consistent, humble actions over time, and that it is holy to protect your heart while it heals. You are more than what happened to you. You are beloved, becoming, and being led. If this story means something to you, comment below, subscribe, and join our community for more betrayal stories and encouragement.
May God bless your journey and bring you peace.